The wingsuit game Rush VR was one of my favorite PSVR 1 games. I love to fly, and I love multiplayer online games that you can play for like 20 minutes at a time and have a blast. I don't have the experience or the balls to actually wingsuit in real life, but that's what VR is all about. I was one of many that was begging the Binary Mill to bring this game over to PSVR2. I was even posting little videos like this on Twitter just to see if I could help make it happen. I really applaud the Binary Mill because they didn't have to bring this game over. It's a really old game and they listened to us. But they went over and beyond, making major improvements to the original game. So I'm just excited to review and finally talk to you guys about Rush VR Apex Edition on PSVR 2. Let's check this stuff out and see what makes it better than the original version. There's actually quite a few reasons.
The highly seasoned gamer VR.
Now, before you say this game looks cool, but the graphics look like a PS2 game, let me remind you that it's an 8-9-year-old game that began on Gear VR. This new version often looks pretty beautiful between the new lighting and effects. The colors really pop on the PSVR 2 OLEDs, and keep in mind, you're seeing everything in 3D when you're inside, so it really looks very pretty. The lighting and the textures are all improved. You're getting 90 frames per second on the base PS5, and it's smooth as butter on the PS5 Pro running at 120. You've got adaptive triggers now for the boost, and they've expanded the multiplayer to up to 12 people online at once jumping out of the plane together. Trust me, that is extremely awesome. And the price is more than fair, so let's jump into it. Even the main menu hub area is pretty cool, whether you're alone or with your friends. I mean, you're on the airplane and you can screw around and play with stuff that's around the room. Now there's the main race mode, but there's also a time attack mode and a score challenge mode and even a free flight mode. Of course, there's the multiplayer, and then you've got 5 different sections that you can choose a variety of different tracks or races in, and they're all very different environments, which is what makes it cool. There's comfort settings, 3 different pages of control options, audio settings, and you can wear a 3D helmet while you're flying. I just have it off for the video, and I feel like it's a little more immersive. I shut it off a lot when I play. You know, sometimes the weather's crazy and it's snowing out, sometimes it's clear, sometimes it's raining, sometimes there's a storm, sometimes it's sunrise or sunset. And that's what makes it fun each time. Even though you're in the same area, there's so many different routes you can go. It feels like there's so many different tracks, even though it's really just, you know, one area, but they all look different. For example, this one's kind of like a ski resort area. By the way, I recommend having a fan blowing wind on you while you play this game. I even set it up once laying flat on my stomach, hanging off the edge of a bed with my arms out like Superman. You don't have to keep your arms out in front of you, but it does feel like you're flying when you do. You can look for shortcuts and secret paths, but you want to pay attention and try not to miss any of the checkpoints. What I love is how simple the gameplay actually is and how good it feels to just move your head around. Believe it or not, the game kind of plays like Burnout, where you get rewarded for near misses and near deaths, so you want to hang really close to walls and really close to the ground to build up your boost meter, and then you just press down the button when you want to use it and get a big boost to try to get ahead of some of your friends or the CPU opponents. Now the graphics are pretty nice, but it really shines when things come together, like the lighting, the weather. There are stages where it's literally storming, there's lightning going on, it's intense, it's dark, and in the PSVR 2 OLEDs, it looks amazing. You could barely see, but at the same time, it's really clear and it's very intense. The 5th harder area actually has a lava in it, and there's all these cool little tunnels that you sometimes can fly through, and it's really tight, so you're being really careful, but you're also trying to, you know, get really close to the wall so you can build up that meter, because just like, I mean, that's the most important thing in the game really, is to see how quickly you can build up this meter. You can play it seated or standing. It feels great either way, and there are analog controls and other ways you can control it, but it feels great using the head. You just tilt yourself a little bit and you feel like you're in full control. Now you can skip it, but every time you finish a race, you end up in a parachute and you can glide your way down to the base, which is extremely fun. My only issue is it's very easy to accidentally skip it. It's relaxing, but it's too fast, so I think if it was 50% less speed, it would be more enjoyable to work your way down to the bottom. Really, it just makes me wish that the Binary Mill would actually make a separate parachuting game They could have made a whole mini game out of this where you have to land on targets and stuff. It would have been awesome. But I don't blame them because that was not in the original game, and this is just a quick remaster. When you do land, all your friends will appear one by one at the base, which is pretty fun. You can screw around and chill by the campfire. Maybe you just feel like listening to Spotify and challenging yourself and competing with your friends on the leaderboards with some of the single player modes. Like this one is score challenge, but you'll see that there's different size circles and sometimes they move and you get different points depending on, what area you land. So yeah, you can definitely have some fun with this if this is your kind of thing. Time attack mode, you try to beat your own scores and stuff, but keep in mind each 20-something track in each section, all these rings and stuff are placed in different locations and areas. So, there's a lot of content. You're not going to get bored. It might be 5 areas, but they're really big. And sometimes you feel like you're seeing something new or a different vista or view that you're like, oh, I don't remember ever seeing that. Even though technically it's probably like, just a few feet away from the last course or the last route that you took. This company just really knows how to make good use of the PS5 and the PS5 Pro and the PSVR2 hardware. They did the same thing with Resist and Into Black. They run amazing on the Pro, but they run great on the base as well. All of their games are extremely polished. Some of them are too short, but they're all amazing. Now, there are comfort settings, but if you know that you're a motion sickness type of person and you're just looking at this going, there's no way I could play this, well, I guess maybe try to avoid it, although there are settings that you might be able to get away with. I never had those issues, but anyway, we really need to support the binary mill. We should buy every game that they make because we want more. If we're ever gonna get a sequel to this game with like really, really beautiful graphics, because they make a whole new game, well, that's only gonna happen if we sell a ton of copies of this, which may or may not happen considering, VR isn't really doing that great right now. I think it's only $20 new, and I truly believe they only brought it to us because we asked so many times. Even the free flight mode has a whole bunch of random collectibles around that you can collect, so there's always something to do. What I recommend is you convince all your buddies to buy the game that don't have it and set a day and time to all meet up and go jumping out of the plane together, because you're gonna have a lot of laughs, a lot of good times, and it has proximity chat, so if somebody's closer to you or farther away from you, you'll hear the distance between your voices. Well, unless you're in a private party chat, but that's a different story. Now, I'm not, but if you're in the trophies and platinum trophies and all that stuff, oh, there's plenty of challenging things for you to do on top of everything else there as well. Does it feel kind of like an old classic VR game? Well, yeah, because it is. I know a lot of us still complain about some of our favorite PSVR1 games that are still stuck on there that we wish would come over. But in a way, we're lucky because when some of them do, we get these like new enhanced versions that are 10 times better than if we had just had basic backward compatibility. It's funny how I still get that same thrill every time it goes 3, 2, 1 and I take that first jump off a cliff. I forgot to mention, you do gain boost by just going through the checkpoints as well, but it's not enough to get through a whole race. Every once in a while, it's annoying if you crash a little early on or right at the beginning and then all your friends are still going and you just kind of have to wait for the next race, but it doesn't really happen that often. I think this is one of those beautiful sunrise tracks where it starts really dark at night and by the end of the race, it's bright and the sun has risen. And see, this is what I was talking about before. In free flight mode, there's a bunch of little items that you can collect that are scattered randomly all around the world. So that's pretty cool too. But anyway, let's conclude. Look, I absolutely adore this game. I always did, and now I do even more. As you probably know by now, I rate games for what they are and if they've achieved what they set out to do. For under $20 US, I can jump out of an airplane with a bunch of my friends in virtual reality. Talk about being in the future. I paid for the game myself twice. I'm giving it a 9.4 because that's what I think it deserves. But anyway, until next time, I'll see you guys in VR.